Welcome to another inspiring episode of HTM On The Line, where we bring the heart of the healthcare technology management industry to life. I'm your host, Bryant Hawkins Sr., and today we have a guest whose story and impact will leave you motivated and ready to take on the world. Joining us is none other than Mr. Douglas Redwine, a seasoned HTM professional, mentor, and advocate for shaping the future of our industry. Doug's journey into HTM started with a spark of curiosity and has grown into a blazing passion for making a difference. From mentoring students and young professionals to addressing the pressing challenges of staffing and knowledge transfer in our field, Doug is a man with purpose and vision. Whether you're a veteran in HTM, a rising star, or someone curious about the work that keeps healthcare running behind the scenes, you'll want to tune in. This episode is packed with wisdom, inspiration, and actionable insights. So, grab a cup of coffee or settle into your commute, because we're about to get into a conversation that's sure to light a fire under you. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of HTM On The Line. I have a special guest this week, Mr. Douglas Redwine. How you doing tonight, Doug?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here with you. Thank you for the invite.
Well, we're going to just dig into Mr. Redwine just to see where you at, how you doing. I know you just relocated from Texas to Georgia. How's that relocation going?
It's going well. Still, learning the ropes, but everything is good. I'm in the right place.
Let's just, in case a few people who don't know who you are, just give us a little short story about how you came into the industry or what drew you into the HTM industry. Give us your story. Give us your background.
Oh, man, that's funny. I just got asked that question today. I came into the industry kind of by mistake. Was in college. I went to school and chose architecture as my major. And then about after the first year, we were doing AutoCAD. And out of ignorance, I thought you would be drawing and sketching because I can draw. So I was kind of not feeling the way we were, doing it. So I had a friend who was in the School of Technology. He's like, how about engineering? So I grabbed a book. We didn't have, internet at the time. And I grabbed a little catalog and scrolling through. I had two criteria: make good money and help people in engineering. And I came across a brand new field of study they had, biomedical engineering, kind of read up on it. I liked the fact I never heard of it. And I didn't know how much money it made. I was 19. So I was like, it sounded like something good. And I read about it. And so the doctors and nurses can't do their job without these people. And I put my finger on it and chose it. And that's how I came into the career, so luck.
Hey, man, that's amazing. It's like, I kid you not, everybody has a story of how they came into the industry, and it's never the same. That's awesome. So if you came in at 19, how many years have you been in the industry so far?
Oh, man, I've been in the industry, I want to say 24 years. On quick math. I took a little break. I was in the field, started in 98, ventured off into something else for a couple of years and came back. I think about 24 years, probably 24, 25.
It's over half your life, man.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Now, what would you say would be one of the most rewarding moments in the 24 years you've been so far? Because you probably got more coming, but what would you say is one of your most rewarding moments?
For me, I think everything always ties back to it. It's the mentoring and hiring aspect of it. Mm-hmm. That's the most rewarding. When I was at one time a adjunct college professor at a technical college, and some of those students I was actually able to hire, and just knowing I was making a difference in people's lives by helping them with employment, and then some of them coming to me and looking at me as a mentor. I think that was most filling. And then secondarily, I think the most fulfilling moment is during COVID when I actually saw people's perspective change about how they looked at us. When we were already important, but when people started seeing, you know, how important we were to the lifeblood of the healthcare system, that was really fulfilling for me to see that change.
Yeah, man, COVID. I still talk about COVID to this day. It's like that was a moment in time there.
Yes.
Now, there's a lot with all this staff shortages we have in our industry right now. Well, healthcare as a whole. But
Mm-hmm.
and you mentioned how you mentor and you love to mentor. Well, what advice would you give someone? Because a lot of people might be listening who might be outside of your reach, but now you can reach them. What advice would you give to someone who's just starting out in the HTM industry and they're looking to make an impact like you have done so far? What advice would you give
Oh
someone?
wow. I would advise them first of all to be seek to be knowledgeable in whichever part of the field they're most interested in, wherever they decide to what area they decide to make their expertise, be very knowledgeable overall, and then especially in your domain of expertise. Secondarily, I would advise them to network. That's so beneficial. So I always promote. You have to network. You have to meet people. You have to get out there. I would advise them to seek mentorship. Find someone they can look up to who's already doing and who's already where they think they might want to be. Seek mentorship, and then I would advise them to participate, meaning their local organization, um, Biomed Society, HTM Society, get involved, go to the conferences, um, and then lastly, I would advise them in some type of way to brand themselves, be a walking brand for HTM as they network.
Oh, that's great, man. Because
Yes, sir.
networking is a great avenue because most biomeds are introverts by nature, but
Yeah,
we have to network because that helps a lot.
yeah,
Now,
yeah,
you mentioned COVID, how you noticed that they started looking at the HTM industry differently. Now, I don't want to say 5 years. Let's just say maybe the next few years. What do you see may be the biggest challenge facing us, facing the HTM industry, besides the staffing issue? We know that's one. What will be another challenge you think will be facing the industry today? And how would you address it, the challenge?
yeah. Oh, that's a good one. This is something I'm working on. So the challenge that I foresee in the future is actually related to our current problem of recruiting new people to the field, um, and getting the industry out there, right? The shortage, and so the challenge that is happening now, but it'll be more so in the future, is that as the current population of HTM veterans retire, they're taking a lot of knowledge with them. So the problem I see happening is the cross generational training. Actually, today I went to a site for somebody who's getting ready to retire, a biomed three, all these years of experience, and he's leaving. Backfilling his position is going to be tough, and he didn't have an understudy or successor behind him, and I think that's going to cause a lapse, in our productivity in the field. And setting up a system to where somebody can where you identify in advance the person that will be next up. And then I know it's kind of hard sometimes, but we have to find a way to, get that understudy to work with that person and get some of that extra knowledge that you can only get from a person in that position. And then another part of it, I think, is in our onboarding process. I think we bring people on and we don't have a real good system most of the time of onboarding them with the mindset of I'm going to get up under the next level person and learn, and then I'm going to also be responsible for teaching back, so it can just flow through step by step. But I'm still thinking about that,
Yeah.
just how that works, but that's where my mind is headed right now.
Yeah, because you're absolutely right. Most likely when the BMed 3
Mm-hmm.
retire, even the BMed 2 now,
Yeah,
it's hard to backfill it because it's a challenge. So
yeah,
most likely you're gonna come in with a 1. Or you might have to relocate a 2, but then
yes,
that's a
sir.
challenge when someone relocates. Are they going to
All
be able to
right.
adjust to the culture they're moving into? So that's a lot of challenges there. But that's a good idea, though. Cross training and just
Yeah.
hoping that BMed 3 would
That so
want
that
to.
see, and that's why I say with the like with the BMAT, they might be so busy they might not want to do it. So we have to, structure it in a way to where like this is understood. This is part of the
Yes.
job where you're BMAT 3, you have knowledge, so it's kind of your job to help mentor also. And I don't know how to make that work, but it's something that at least needs to be addressed and attempted.
I think one way that can happen, it that points directly at the leader. I mean, if you got the culture of your biomed shop
Mm-hmm.
already working that way, it'll
Yeah.
it'll be like second nature because your
Yeah.
team is
Yes,
only
sir.
as good as your weakest person. So if you put that mindset into your team, then
Yes,
they'll
sir.
be mentoring without even knowing they're doing it. Now, since we're talking about mentorship and leadership, as a leader, what type of strategies do you use to motivate your team when you get into like a tough situation?
Yeah.
Because I'm high on motivation, and like say for
Yeah.
instance, COVID came up. What was one of the things you did to motivate your team during this pressure
Yeah.
moment that was going
So
on?
mine is, I want to say elementary because I do the same thing across the board in the school system and at work. And I think it is leading by example, being relational. And for instance, on mine, so my techs have to come to work during COVID. Directors, managers we didn't have
Mhm.
to, but because they were there, I showed up. Just so they can know that I'm there with them, and they have a leader who is not just going to be in the background looking at the computer and checking what they do, but actually there and seeing how, offering my assistance in whichever way I could. So I believe in um, being in position to be a support and knowing that I can be leaned on and helping in every way that I can. And that's the kind of way that's the way that I lead, is being very relational with my team.
That's awesome, man. That's your team is blessed to have
Thank you.
someone like that because a lot of
Yes, sir.
leaders don't lead that way. So now you mentioned you found out about this industry at the age of 19.
19. Yes, sir.
And so you came in real young. So it's not like you had much life experience going on. So obviously you had some mentors
Yeah.
in your life. Who are some of the key mentors that you would say help shape you into the person you are today? Or at least gave you the idea of how to approach each day?
As related to HTM or in general?
Both.
Okay. Okay. So starting out, and I'll be brief about it. Just I had a mentor, which is probably why I'm here today. As a young buck around 12 years old, at my church, a youth minister who was real pivotal in my life. And I kind of followed in his footsteps, and that's how I know that mentoring helped me. So I want to be like him for someone else. So that's the first part. So quick background on that. When I was 12, I was very bad at school, used to fail and that kind of stuff. And this guy I was in Fort Worth, Texas. He came from Alaska, just graduated. He was from Alaska. He went to Howard University, and then he graduated from Howard and came to the seminary in Fort Worth to get his master's degree. And so he was the first person that I'd met in my life from somewhere else who was college educated. And so that got my attention. He was smart and he was cool. And I wanted to be like him. So that was my first influence. And as far as in the industry,
Hey man, give him a shout out, man. Who's your mentor, man?
Stanley Williams.
Stanley Williams.
Stan the man. I call him Stan the man. We
Okay.
got the same birthday and I still talk to him. Every birthday I still call him.
Awesome.
He's my big brother.
There you go.
Uh, um,
Now go back to your
so
HTM
um,
mentor now.
so HTM, and so that came later because when I went into it, I just did my job and I kind of choose people. So um, I didn't have a real mentor early on. And so it's going to be funny. They're going to hear this for sure. So later on, once I decided that I want to actually do more in the industry, that I could see the potential and like, oh, this can be something. It was actually, I met these two people at an MD Expo in Dallas, probably 2016, maybe 15, 16. And that was Jewel Newell and David Broderick. They probably don't know it, but meeting them and seeing how they were operating kind of inspired me. and I could see the different sides of it, where this can be more. And so at that one particular event, when I first started networking in the industry, that those people I chose as my mentors without asking them.
I know Jewel knew JC.
Yeah. Yeah.
I knew Jewel when Jewel was a little bitty Jewel. And
Uh-huh.
went away for about 10 years, come back around. I'm like, man, the whole world knew who this woman is.
Right. Yeah. So through her, that's how I became an adjunct professor, because she was doing it.
Now, we know this job, as much as you love it,
Mm-hmm.
it has its moments. So, how do you stay motivated and at the same time continue to grow, both professionally and I'll say even personally? I mean, I know you're a
Yeah.
busy man, but how do you stay motivated to continue to do those things?
Simple. I'm a purpose-driven person, and I search for challenges and look for opportunities. And if I can't find them, I create it. And so the answer to both of those questions is even how keep myself motivated to grow and help others. It's all the same. Um, I like to move around a lot. I'm the kind of person that can get bored with, just doing the same thing over and over. And so I choose not to ever get bored. And so I have to make things fun for myself. And I'm a creative person. So I'm always looking for the opportunities to, how can this improve, or how can I do something different, or what's on the horizon? And so that's how I keep myself, motivated um, in my day to day and in this industry.
I see you like to run, man.
Yeah, got to stay busy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that comes directly from COVID. Can't be sitting in the house. I had to get outside. Yeah, when everything was shut down.
Oh, really?
Because I used to play basketball and, just stay active. The gyms were shut down and I was going stir crazy, you know, no social interaction and stuff like that. So I got outside and started running and loving it. And then the only people that were outside that I knew were a run group. I joined the run group and here we go. I didn't plan on running a half marathon when I started, but
Wow. Congrats.
Yeah.
I did that one time, man. That one time only. I made it through, but I was tell you this quick funny story. I was running, man.
Mm-hmm.
This lady had to be about 65. And she had on the back of her shirt, I may be slow, but you behind me. I
Yeah.
zoomed past her, man. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
man, about 2 hours
Yeah.
later, I'm walking,
Wow.
and that's who came trotting by me. I same little speed.
Yes, sir.
And I read her shirt. I said, wow, it hit me. I said, yeah, you may be
Wow.
slow, but I am behind you. And she beat me too.
Yeah.
She had that slow, steady
Yes,
pace.
sir.
I thought I could just go out there and just run. I'm young.
It sound like the turtle in the hair. That's the message you got.
But now let's think about, you mentioned you do a lot with the community, and that's awesome. Now, how can, man, this is a challenge one here, because you mentioned about how you would like for your senior BMS to maybe start a replacement or transition plan. How can we better educate the next generation about the importance
Yes, sir.
of HTM? Because you could teach them how to repair equipment, but how can we go about educating them how to know about the importance of what we do?
Wrestle with that a lot too. I think I like to point to leadership, and I know it's not exactly part of the job description, but I think that all of us that work in this industry, love the industry, and care about it, have a responsibility to promote it as we go. I think we're all out and active, and not all, but most of us are out active and doing things. And as you go, I think we should be mentioning it and letting people know what we do, and trying to recruit, so that more people can know about it. I just think that's part of the calling.
Yes, sir. All right, if you could change one thing, I know you mentioned during COVID that everyone gained a new appreciation for what we do. But if you could change one thing about the perception of HTM, what would it be?
I have to think more on that, but it's because I think it's changing now. Because I used to have this deal where I had a goal for my team. I used to tell my team that I didn't want them to, first of all, I didn't want them to look at themselves as just the fix-it people. And I didn't want I wanted to be viewed as a viable and important piece of the puzzle in the healthcare network. And so I used to always try to teach them to, like, first of all, see yourself, look at what you do and know how important it is. And also don't let anybody else look at you like that. So I wanted people within the system as a whole not to just see us as the fix it people that come out of the basement and grab something. Because we do so much more than that. You know everything we do. So I just wanted the whole scope of it to be recognized. And so that would be the part that I would think needs to be the perception that I would like changed.
Now that's kind of lighten it up some here.
Okay.
Now, what's one fun fact? I know you mentioned running.
Yeah.
That's something you like to do, but what's a surprising fact about yourself that most people in the industry don't know about you?
Most people, I do. Most people in the industry wouldn't know that I got bars. No, just joking. But I used to own a recording studio, and I used to do music, and I, performed in front of, crowds as big as 5,000, and on tour and
Really?
travel, and not let me not make it sound too big, but I've done a bunch of shows and do poetry and things of that nature. So all of my stuff, as far as creativity, started with music. Before I did my after school program and my books, so I still feel like I'm making music in a sense. So my creative outlets, yes.
What type of music you did, man? I mean, you said bars, but you a rapper?
I was doing what they were coined as gospel rap.
Okay,
And then
okay.
with the recording studio, I just recorded outside. I know how to work the workstation, the digital audio workstation. But we also had an analog board too, so I did the mixing and recordings. I was a
Oh,
sound
all right.
engineer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, a couple of years ago, I did this motivational piece, and I called it "Dear 1993 Me,"
Uh-huh.
where I had a conversation with my younger self.
Uh-huh.
Now, if you can, what piece of advice I'll say would you give to your younger self starting out in HTM? If you can go back to that 19-year-old, what would you tell him
Oh man.
starting out in the industry?
So the advice I gave earlier, I would have told my younger self to take it seriously, look towards the future in the job, network, and pursue. I'm a leader, and to pursue leadership earlier. Yeah, for sure. I kind of for a good period of time, I'm always busy, so I was doing other endeavors and kind of just doing the job. So
Mhm.
it wasn't until I actually decided that I was going to leave the field because unfortunately, and I feel this is another part maybe I should say that we should fix. I don't know, it might not be the same just in the places I've worked. You go up the ranks a little bit and then you're kind of stuck until somebody retires or passes and you can't get promoted. We don't have that many levels, and I was kind of at a position like, well, I've reached the top outside of management. And so I was seeking to, do other things. And it was at that time that I kind of discovered, hey, the field can be improved and I can do some extra things. I can move forward, and I can make it better.
Type on that part about somebody got to die out for you advance. Now you just have to move,
Yeah. Yeah.
relocate. I
Yeah.
mean, unfortunately, the kind of work we do,
Yes, sir.
if you don't probably develop dementia, you may can do it up in your 70s. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
if you waiting on somebody to retire and
Yeah.
they're close to your age, then
Yeah.
you're gonna be waiting. So
That's it.
the best
Hey,
thing to do is to go where that opportunity is at.
that's why I'm where I am right now.
Exactly. Now you touched on a part about you did your singing and gospel rap, but you also mentioned about books. So
Mhm.
you a published author how many times over now?
Um,
Four
four,
books. So what type of books are you? What
four.
type of books you write about?
So I'm a published author,
Mhm.
but I'm about to be a real published author real soon this year.
Great.
Meaning I have a novel
Oh,
coming out,
okay.
which I'm very excited about. So the first books I've done, there was a activity workbook, team STEAM, create some characters. I have another book. I do after school programs. And I noticed that some of my classes, like, oh, they don't teach kids how to write anymore. So I did a writing book, just a basic, tracing letters and things of that nature. I have another book, HBCU career college book to promote HBCUs because I went to HBCU and it was helpful in my life. And so I know some other people need to be exposed to it. So the history of HBCUs and a real cool book. I created that one. And then I created a journal because I'm a journaler. So I created um, what's how you said? I want to say thought provoking. My mind not working correctly right now, but writing prompts, a journal with writing prompts,
Okay.
and motivational. I did 50 different
Oh
quotes.
wow.
So they have a words of affirmation on each day and morning and night journaling
Oh
session.
wow.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite part about connecting with young readers through your books? Because I noticed you talk about after school and teaching them how to write. So what's
Yeah.
your favorite part of connecting with young people?
It's always so when I'm there physically with them, I'm outside when parents send me stuff, it's the aha moments. Seeing those eyes light up, um, helping them to tap into their creativity. It's just when I see them get it, and also when a student um because I have a deal where I say, when they say, man, this is hard. And I clap like, yeah, it's hard. When it's hard, it's an opportunity for you to get smarter. So I have this whole deal. And when I see that breakthrough, when I do a coding class or even on the reading exercises, when they're challenged and then, kids, oh, this is hard. And, we work through it. Yeah, it's hard. Come on now. And when they get to that moment, I love that where I can see the learning happening.
That's awesome, man. I was on the internet today and I think Sherelle, she was at the eye doctor and she mentioned Sherelle, she does
Oh,
HTM
yeah.
Insider.
I saw
Yeah.
that.
And so
Yes, sir.
she said she loved when the light bulb comes on when she tell them about the industry. But like I told
Yeah.
her, for that light bulb to cut on and you to appreciate it, meaning that light bulb is cutting on inside you the same way all the time.
Right.
That's why you can
Yeah.
appreciate it when you see that light bulb cut on in someone else.
Mhm.
And that's
Facts.
a calling. That's where the calling part comes in because your light bulb cut on every morning when you wake up. It's on. And
Yes, sir. That's
that's
it.
why you keep creating because it's constantly cutting on. And that's when that
Yes,
job
sir.
becomes a calling. And everybody don't have that. So hopefully listening to this podcast, you can motivate them to turn their light bulbs on because we all have one. We just have to tap. We have to tap
Yes,
into
sir.
it. Now,
That's it.
now, do you tell young kids about the HTM industry? Do you? That's the,
Most definitely. Yeah. It's so as I said earlier, as you go, you're promoting and branding it, right? And so a big piece of my deal is, what I do. So I actually use the HTML in a box sometimes for different pieces of it, and then myself as an example. I have a whole little video mock-up thing I do to introduce myself, and that's the big part of it. And I always come back to it, and then I start at the piece of equipment and what it does, so they can kind of get a visual for what
yeah.
it is, and then take it back to now in the background somebody works on that and makes it happen, and I can see the connection during those times too. So most definitely.
So, about how many years now you say you've been talking with the young kids and doing after school programs?
Oh well, in the after school programs since 2011.
Wow, that's
So
14 years. Wow.
yeah,
So in those
yes sir,
14
yes sir.
years, how many kids you think you've
Mhm.
touched?
Oh man, thousands,
Thousands.
thousands and thousands.
Okay,
Yeah.
then.
Um, and I guess I have some rough notes. I need to really go back on it because I have this deal where in the coding classes I did, where I have actually a log of signing in, and there was over a few thousand in that piece of it. And so over the years, wow,
Wow, that's awesome, man. Now,
it's been thousands of
so there's
students. Yeah.
thousands of kids, and
Mhm.
that people may hear that and say, "Man, that's got to be." But just the fact you're reaching out, that thousand comes real fast. It's not like you have to go far to find 1,000 kids, like people may think. It's
No,
real easy to find
no,
1,000
no.
kids. Now, out of those
Right.
1,000, let's just say 14,000. I give you 1,000 a year.
Mhm.
Can you share
Mhm.
one story about a child or group of kids who were positive, had a positive impact from your efforts. Can you share one story?
Oh wow, I have a few of those. But
Or your favorite one or two.
so okay, one of them. And so, and like, you know, a lot of times you're planting seeds, right? Because you get them for a summer camp or you have them for a
Mm-hmm.
semester. So you don't know the end results completely. But I do know one time, one of my friends, I need to go find a picture. I have a picture of it. I had these two young girls, they were fifth graders, and they did not want to code. They did not want to participate. And I pulled up uh, Black Girls Code on their computer. And when they saw it, the little girl said, she looked like me. And I got a picture of them just all of a sudden want to code because they saw an image of some little girls who were doing it too. And that was one of my breakthrough moments of seeing, like, you know, it's all about exposure, and kids need to see it sometimes. So that was one. Whether they kept doing it or not, I don't know, but I do know at that moment, you know, they participated and for the rest of the semester
That light
just by
that
seeing
light
that
bulb moment. Huh?
that light bulb. Yes, sir. And then I have several students that went on to college and stuff like that. But another one I like to share, and this is not a kid, it's an adult. She my after school program, she became one of my assistants, and she got so into it, she decided to go to school um, and get her a tech degree, associates, and she's now working for an IT company and doing very
Oh
well.
wow.
And so that right there is one of my favorite stories. Yes, sir.
So she got influenced indirectly.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you think kids need most today? And what would you think it would be if you had to say? Because you know everybody always say the kids today are different. But what do you think kids need the most today?
Mm-hmm. Kids are different, but kids are the same as we were when we were
Yes.
little. They need they need um, attention.
Mm-hmm.
They need guidance, positive guidance, and they need exposure to the possibilities, and they need reassurance that they are capable of doing those things that they get exposed to, those extra things. Because I think a lot, especially the kids that are, you know, in the urban schools and different areas where I work, it's just they don't know what they can do because they only see, you know, the environment around them a lot of times. So they need some people who care to come in, and so with all that said, mentorship, and kind of point them in a certain direction. Hey, look over here. You see that? You know what? You can do that too. You know, you can be that. You should, you know, experiment. And part of my class is, you know, my deal is dream, explore, create. And you don't have to try to be something, but I just want you to like think about and look at things differently and try stuff, you know, and that's kind of what I go to the schools to do, is to help them dream and give them something to explore, and, you know, let them see that they can create.
Awesome, man. Now, I know you relocated.
Mm-hmm.
So do you plan on expanding the work for kids in
Most
Georgia?
definitely. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm already I'm mapping it out, and I can't wait to, you know, expand my territory, uh, learn the, you know, the area around here, and get started. I'm going to start, of course, this semester. Spring semester is the perfect time for after school career days and things of that nature. And yeah, I'll get my after school programming restarted out here.
Now, how do you go about just starting the after school program? Is that something that takes a lot of work, or I mean, that's just something you can't just.
I guess it does, but it doesn't, you know, because you kind of have to be when you're a creative person, I got to tell you how it started.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So doing I own the recording studio. After a while, you know, as things start getting digital, the studio is less, a big full scale studio is not needed as much, right? Because kids can do things on their computers. And so it came a time I wasn't really recording bands anymore. It was people bringing me their messed up mixes and want me to fix it, or coming with some beats and rapping on top of it. So it was no longer fun anymore because the creativity was getting taken away from it. And so I made a pivot because people didn't know how to mix, and created a program I called the Media Arts Program. And I put together this whole brochure and all this kind of stuff. And I went to a high school. I didn't know after school program existed, and just said, hey, I have something that I want to do after school for the kids. And I didn't know about that school program. And they said, do you have an appointment with the principal? I'm like, no, I just have this, I got this brochure. I want to talk to them about it. And the after school program director just happened to be in the office that day. He took it and he's like, man, this is what we need. And I was at a high school. They allowed me to build a studio, the kids to build a studio from ground up. And we recorded, wrote screenplays, put on, for the community, put on plays. They performed, they did the lights, they did the curtains and everything. And so I think I went off track of your question, but so for me, creating after school program happened, you know, organically, I guess you can say, except for me taking the time to be crazy enough to create a program that nobody asked for. And after that, I was in the door, and so I just kept expanding. So I went from the media arts program to coding classes and drone classes and things of that nature. So how do you create an after school program? Have a vision, have a dream, really care about the kids, and go forth with it. There's a need for it, and there's a need. If you step in, there's work to do.
Tech Choice Awards. Somebody I know is up for Director Manager of the Year. This award here is also sponsored by NW Imaging. So how do you feel about that nomination, man? I mean,
I feel I feel real good about the nomination. It's always good to be nominated and recognized for your work. And what's good about that is it comes from your peers or from your people, right? And so they nominate you. So there's always a blessing to be recognized in that manner.
Well, congratulations on your nomination, man. I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
And Doug, always appreciate you, man. And if you ever want to come on the show again, you're welcome anytime to promote your book. I'll be glad to assist any way I can. And what you're doing with the kids is dear to my heart because I'm the same way.
Okay.
I like to reach out to the young ones because they are our future. And that's not just a cliche, that's a fact. And what you're doing is great.
Right.
And it's appreciated, my brother. And I thank you for coming on. Now,
I appreciate it.
Do you have any final words you want to share with the HTM industry in closing? Anything?
Oh, man. Now, this is the kind of stuff to freestyle off the cuff. So I just want to say that everything I said in the interview, but anybody who's listening to this, I'm pretty sure you're connected and you're in the industry. And so I would just like to leave you to know that the little nugget that make sure as you go, you're promoting the field because you never know who you might touch and influence to join us in advancing HTM. That's my piece.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, man. Thank you again for coming on, man. You much appreciated. As we wrap up today's episode of HTM On The Line, I hope you're walking away with more than just knowledge. I hope you're inspired. Douglas Redwine has reminded us of the power of mentorship, the importance of leadership, and the necessity of passing on the torch in our field. His story is proof that HTM isn't just a career, it's a calling where passion and purpose intersect. For those of you in the HTM industry, Doug's advice to become a walking brand for HTM and to promote the field wherever you go is a challenge we all need to embrace. If we don't shine a light on what we do, who will? And for anyone listening who's outside our industry, let this episode be your introduction to the people behind the technology that keeps healthcare alive. We're more than fix-it people. We're problem solvers, innovators, and lifesavers. Doug, thank you for sharing your journey, your vision, and your wisdom. The work you're doing to inspire the next generation and elevate the HTM industry is nothing short of extraordinary. To all our listeners, remember this. Your impact is greater than you realize, and the future of HTM depends on all of us stepping up to lead, to mentor, and to innovate. Thank you for tuning in. And if this episode moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories and conversations. This is Bryant Hawkins Sr. signing off. Until next time, stay motivated, stay committed, and stay on the line. Y'all be safe out there.